Good evening and morning to you. By the time you see this video, patch 3.22 may have opened up to everybody. Wave 5, baby. But it's still a work in progress. Here's the highlights. Stack your chips up because the Crusader Spirit A1, Cutter Scout, the Mirai Furies, and Miss Cole C have been added to the in-game dealerships to buy. Performance still isn't perfect, but it's been improved a ton. Major landing zones like Loreville were getting as low as 12 frames per second. But now, 50 to 60 isn't out of the question. And the rogue wind effect that had you leaning in Loreville finally been fixed. The performance at the new Shantytown locations is really spotty. Sometimes they're fine on the ground, but after you take off, you get a slideshow. Cutter's Rig, the place from the new menu screen, coming in for a landing there will get you down to less than single digits. And it's a little treacherous trying to land it with extremely low frames. So be careful over there. After you land, you'll be treated to better frames, but not good frames. If you enjoy the sights around the verse, it's worth checking out. So it's up to you whether you want to wait till it performs better or not. Things in space are good, no real surprise there. I've been upwards of 80 frames, maybe more, except when you tow a ship, or possibly just when you tow a hammerhead. But as soon as you connect the tractor beam, it can give you a nice little PowerPoint presentation. Prior to the Wave 4 patch, we were bombarded with a lot of 30Ks. Now I've gone several hours without encountering any at all. Refueling seems to be more consistent. Going back to the new locations, they're a really welcome addition. They're cobbled together places often using crash ships for building materials, and they're not just a pretty face. Places like Dumborough and Astor's Clearing on Microtech have places to trade and a local inventory. Shout out to the librarian for inviting me there. He found a handheld flashlight that I wanted to take a look at and a laptop. Really nice to see NPCs outdoors that don't fire at you on sight. They're wearing armor we saw in Pyro, and I'm not quite sure if this is the intent going forward or not, but an opportunity to grab some. Having these locations fills in the planet a bit more and sells the idea that the characters have built a little life for themselves outside the cities and space station. Also, tree density has gone up quite a bit. The forest is nice and thick. Yes, it is. Probably seen and heard quite a bit about the new salvage mechanics already, so I'll get to the updates in a sec, but for the new folks, pretty hot. Swaps out the single dimensional sweep the beam across the whole loop into a multi-step, let's not waste a single drop of this resource mechanic. Once you figure out what you're doing, pretty easy to do, maybe a little too easy. A single fracture is all you need before you start turning big chunks into a particulate that you can vacuum up. I think I'm gonna call it soul sweeping because it definitely looks like you're draining the soul out of ships. Be nice if you had to break larger chunks down, which I believe is the plan for the semi-near future. I'd also like a nice satisfying snap effect. CIG has already updated it with a sweet spot you need to line up to get the most material, but overall it's a solid addition for the time being. And in the future, it'll be updated with more complexity and skill-based fracturing. Best part about the salvage is the buffer size. The buffer's where the salvage is processed and held until it fills and ejects boxes out of it. The Vulture's buffer was rebalanced from holding 14 SCU of materials to 12, and then just recently bumped to 13. You can keep on salvaging until the 13 SCU buffer on the Vulture is full. The Reclaimer buffer was initially 360 SCU and has been adjusted down to 240 SCU. This changes the game for both ships. You got the cargo capacity and then a significant increase in the total amount of materials the ship can hold. Also, no more getting up to empty the hopper every 2 SCU. Which is convenient for the Vulture and makes it more feasible to solo the Reclaimer. Time it takes to salvage the structure has been increased. There's a buildup to when the fracture occurs. On the disintegration side, it's fast for smaller parts depending on how close you are, and bigger pieces can take quite a while to disintegrate. Sale price of CM, aka construction mats in the EPTU, has been reduced to 6,000 credits and around 14,300 credits for selling the RMC that you strip off the holes. Makes sense since right now gathering CM takes a tiny fraction of the time to collect. So the loop in EPTU is something like this. Approach the derelict, take it for cargo. If it's worth less than 14,000 credits, you leave it be and proceed to strip the hole. Fracture the hole, integrate the structure, head to a trade and development division to sell the RMC from the hole, then visit an admin office to sell the CM from the structure. In the beginning, the money you made on one run in the Vulture was over $1 million, which was way too much and has been adjusted. Constellation is the biggest ship you can break down with a Vulture. So here's what taking an illegal Connie salvage mission looks like. Contract itself pays 80,000. Stripping the hole produces around 85,800 credits worth of RMC. Get about 42,000 for the construction mats. So that's everything off the cargo grid. Then you go back and box up everything that's in the buffer and sell the rest of the CM for 78,000 credits, which gives you a grand total of 285,800 credits. Damn good looking spending money there, sir. But we'll see if they maintain that kind of return by the time it goes live. Side note, the lights on the Vulture are finally doing a little something. I know they didn't do a pass on every ship's lights, but good to see a start on it. As you might have heard, armor costs a little more, but unless you're completely broke, you won't notice. If you do, then looting is for you. On the positive side, the increased prices mean that the sell prices are up, and that makes all the difference. More on that in a second. There's an addition to some of the shopping kiosks that let you buy stuff and then choose a storage destination that's not currently equipped to your character, such as the self-storage containers you can now buy. Oh yeah, real quick, Orison got a little remix of the music that plays there. I'll let you discover it for yourself. So the open SCU boxes, these are super useful boxes you can store bigger items in. Buy them from a cargo deck and drag them from your inventory into the ship. The initial version is a tiny bit risky because you don't know where it's gonna land when you drop it into your ship from your inventory, so do it when the ship's empty. Also, being that this is the early version, you interact with it using the inventory UI rather than walk in and drop stuff. Hey, I'll take it for now. You can use it to share inventory with your crew, and now you can loot the hell out of bunkers and throw it all in an SCU box and carry one thing to your ship. Pretty dandy. Changes the whole loot game. I did 2 bunker runs, which paid 15,000 apiece, made an extra 6,000 credits with Call to Arms, so the 30 grand I would have made turned into 92,000, 2 bunker runs. Space hobos now have no reason to beg for credits in the chat. I'm gonna go buy a box and render the Avenger Titan. By the way, having these boxes give you more of a handle on the whole SCU thing. You can go, oh, so that's how many individual guns can fit in one storage container unit. The boxes will actually make the Drake Mule more useful at bunkers that you can't approach directly, or at least it will when they fix up the feature. Plus, it makes an excellent stealth weapon. Love it, CIG. Love it. There's new hair in the game, but the options are slim if you prefer your hair straight and still 0 if you don't. But at CitizenCon, they did mention that the first run of styles will be limited. No real surprise there. What's cool though is that it moves, so when you catch somebody doing the Kimora Lee Simmons runway stomp, their hair will bounce with them. Facial expressions are closer to neutral now. I don't know about you, but in the current patch, my character keeps a goofy looking, I just had some widow expression. The patch shows they've been quietly grinding their ass off, and potential for a live release pretty soon after CIG gets back from holiday break seems pretty high. Main antagonist is performance issues, which the devs have shown that they can get up to a reasonable level in a reasonable amount of time. New features are tier 0 for this patch. I know CIG wanted to get away from tier 0, but in the spirit of getting something in our hands before the holidays, they simplified and they delivered. I look forward to seeing fracturing and disintegration get upgraded with more intricate mechanics. Personal note, I think I'm excited, not at a specific set of features, but by the speed at which things are starting to flow now. Teams have been transitioning over to Star Citizen from Squadron 42, and it's really starting to show. After spending most of the year with relatively minor user-facing progress and looking at things that we wouldn't be able to touch for a long time, starting to reap the benefits of what they've been working on behind the scenes and what they've accomplished with Squadron making its way over to the PU over the next 12 months. An exciting time to be a citizen again. It'll also be exciting to see what comes of this game over the next 12 months. Fly dirty, citizen.